All right. Okay, it's recording. Very good. All right. Hey, shall we start?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, let's start from me first. Let me open this one.
Sure.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
Just like with the last discussion, basically for today, we're gonna discuss about the data that you actually already fill up regarding the squad for the 2019 performance review, and also a possibility for us to create a master plan for the 2020 itself. Now, this is pretty fast enough for the decks, but thank you, Nengli, for preparing this one. I will pass it to Nengli, basically. After that, on discussion, I'm gonna join in to help on discuss regarding about the data itself and also what we can do with this kind of data. The objective and the purpose itself is to make sure that everyone can really read the data and also processing it, also implement the data itself to do your action or maybe also your plan, especially for your own chapter. So as you remember that everyone here is pretty much a different chapter, content, HR, finance, and anyone else, and me. But in the end, all the data here is basically, hopefully we can also support when you're actually creating a project or at least creating a plan on what you want to do every month or maybe every quarter, even every semester. So let's get it on then. Andy, could you help me?
Okay. So maybe I will go through the working file first. So Alvin was talking about data, right? Using data to then do our planning. So basically, what has happened is that we have. I find it so strange. Okay. So basically, what we have done is that we have created this Excel sheet. It's a comparison table and a collection of data of FY18, FY19, and also FY20. Yeah, I think this is much easier. Okay, so it's a collection of it will be a collection of 2 years data. So basically the past and also moving forward in FY20, what's going to happen, right? So the idea is to come up with the strategy. However, also at the same time, we think that this set of data will be more impactful if you guys also know how to read the data and use the data to help you with your future planning for FY20. Even things like, for example, like OKRs, right? So we can jump into that part later, but just to give you a quick orientation, the Excel sheet is here. It's pretty much broken down into, obviously, the very start is what is the FY's revenue, followed by area, followed by properties. That's how the data is being broken down. Okay, just a quick one on how to read it. Quite simple. January to December is all here. In terms of category, the data is all down here. Okay. There are a few acronyms being used, so I'll just quickly go through the acronyms. So FY18, FY19, you guys all understand what that means, right? ACT versus FCT, everybody understands? Versus FCT? Forecast. So ACT is actual, yeah. Then FCT stands for forecast, yeah. Okay.
When is the FCT?
Huh?
Do we have the FCT as well?
Yes, there is FCTs, but I think at this point he has filled up. Alvin has filled up most of it.
Okay.
Just with the non-exclusive properties, right? Right, Alvin? Okay, I guess that's a yes. Okay.
You are muted.
Sorry.
All right. So the only data that we don't have is actually the inquiry conversion rate data at this point in time. But Alvin and I agree that this is actually a data we should be measuring more often in FY 2020. You look confused.
Not confused.
Okay.
You don't have to, sir?
We don't have the we don't have the data, right, Alvin?
So basically, we have basically on company we have the data, but it's not show on the Tableau. We need to request it first to create the filter to show the old data. Right now, the current data is only show for the last 4 or 5 weeks. But what we're looking for is basically at least monthly, right? To getting that, we just need to make a bug report. I already discussed with Nengli yesterday. It is possible actually, but currently we don't have it.
Inquiry to
Inquiry conversion.
Inquiry conversion. Basically, that what we always discuss on the reservation side.
Okay. Shall I go on or you want to show something? Okay. All right. So basically, all the data is here. Right down to it gets down to very granular to the point where it's actually based on property even. Okay. So moving forward, now let's go with the presentation. Yeah. Okay. So I've broken this down into two parts. One part is metrics and performance that we need to review. Okay, and then metrics that we need to consider for planning moving forward. Okay. So first and foremost, we recap. Right. I think first and foremost, everybody knows that one of the biggest pain points for Spot One is the number of properties that we've been offboarding, right? So, but then we know that we've had many, but then we don't really know how many and how much each value is. So, Alvin and I did a quick summation, and basically we've got 10 offboarded. So these are the properties that purple is the properties that offboarded. Properties in grey are the ones that we've newly onboarded. Okay, they're broken down into months and also broken down into the areas. As you Yes, as you can see, Bingin obviously being the biggest loss.
This is FY19.
Yes. So let me go down to answer your question. Okay, revenue loss from churn. Okay, it is estimated value from FY18.
Forecasted.
No, estimated value from FY18. So say for example, like give me a Bingin property that we just offered. Kura. Being Luna, right? So if Being Luna say for example offboarded in like say March FY19, we don't have the FY19 full value, right? But we can give an estimated value, and it's likely a smaller estimate based on FY18 full year 12 months how much this property has done. So we go on the assumption that if Kura or Being Luna stayed with us, we would have at least done FY18's value, right? If they stay on for us for another 12 months. So that's the concept behind it, correct? So based on the properties that I've shown you earlier on, the estimated value that we have lost is 291. Okay? In terms of the churn rate, is actually we've lost 10 properties. That's 25% churn rate, which is quite high, I think. Okay? And then revenue from new acquisitions, which is the new partners, was only 212,000. So essentially we are 79,000. Yes.
I'm sorry. Would you prefer like we stop you from question or like
Yeah. Stop me for questions. Oh, was that the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
For now.
Yeah. Okay. So stop me for questions.
I thought you wanted.
Okay. So revenue from acquisitions is 219. The difference between those two is actually 79,000.
So it means that even if we have these new properties, we still not performing, passing the loss from this time property.
Yes. So what I'm trying to say is that basically even though we onboarded new properties, the new properties cannot cover the loss from the old properties. And that loss is called a deficit. That deficit is 79,000. So I just rounded up to 80,000 lah. Okay, is 80,000, right? 80,000 is approximately about 18.7% of FY19's actualized revenue. So that is quite a big amount. Okay, so moving on. But that's it. So we know we have a deficit from the churn of properties, right? However, that said, last year we still made a profit or an increase in revenue from FY18 at 232,000. Okay, so basically is when people say squad is not growing, not necessarily, but I think what is happening is that what we are seeing is called a stunted growth. So we are growing, but then the growth is basically cut back or shortened because of the deficit that we had to incur from whenever lah, Okay, so So what it also means is that I don't expect new properties to do that well, especially when they are new with us, right? But what that also means is that existing properties are doing quite a lot better than last year actually, to make up for the loss.
So actually, if you see the year-on-year revenue from 18 to 19, it's actually growing.
Yes.
But the one that you and Peter said that the new properties doesn't cover the old deficit is
Not
for
enough.
19 to 20, or same 18 to 19, FY18 to FY19.
So the off-boarded property in 2019, the loss is actually counted from the estimated revenue of 2018, right? So then we onboarded some properties in 2019 with the total revenue, which is not yet actually covering the potential, like the revenue from 2018. The estimation.
Oh, the potential.
Potential.
Yeah,
Yeah, potential.
So basically, we kind of lost our potential of 80,000 more revenue growth on the 2019.
Like, in case we still have this property, we will have that. Revenue.
In case we have those, so in the event that we have those property, estimate should be about 300,000.
Then is it wrong to think that whatever we gain with the new properties, it would never cover the, what do you call it again?
The loss.
No, not the last day. What's your term again?
Deficit?
Because we already lose those properties, right? No matter how many properties we onboard, it will never cover the loss that we.
Okay. So to look
Right? If
to
you count it
answer
that way.
so to answer that question, you need to look at the value of the property, right? Villa Bagus, Belangan, that property is valued at 18,000 per year. La Caban is apparently 17,000 still. Biggest hitters are Cahaya, Shiva, Ayunan, Kura Kura. Those are your biggest hitters. It's all your Bingin
It's tied back to
villas.
the value of the property
It's
itself.
tied back to the estimated profit. So this is not thought. This value here is real value, but it's FY18 value.
FY18,
Yeah, considering
the inventories.
considering whatever conditions the property is in lah. Yeah. So FY18 we made these amounts, right? But my point is that we know year on year usually our properties will grow. Whether or not it's a clean property, even it will grow. So this is I suspect the minimum number that we could have grown or we could have acquired for FY19 if we didn't lose the property. Okay? So clear? Okay. So basically, where was I? Yeah. Okay. So I've covered this part. So existing properties is better than last year. Deficit of 80,000 is about 18%. Okay. So then I move on to squats. I move on to
Wait,
yes.
like I just want to ask. So before,
course.
right, we offboarded like about 10, right?
Yes.
And how many did we onboard? 3.
Okay.
Like the net, the 13. What?
We onboarded about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 as well.
So 10. Okay.
Yeah, 10, 10. But because the strategy for villas, for new properties is that usually first few months they won't earn so much money, right? So it's hard to compare to a mature property like say Kura Kura. Okay? Alright, so we move on. So that was year on year revenue, right? So I move on down to FY19, but I want to see actually year on year on a monthly basis. So January FY18 versus January FY19, so on and so forth, right? So generally, I see the performance of the squad. Yeah, this is not inclusive of. This is already considering so-called seasonality, because it's a apple to apple comparison between the different years and the month, right? So what we are seeing down here is actually squad performance, which I thought actually could be be correlated to the AHR thing. So on average, generally the squad seems to be doing quite consistent, except for June and also except for October. I cannot really recall what happened in October and June actually, but what I do know from market building's end is that June seems to be a very strange thing it's a bit strange that actually performance dropped, because in June is where we onboarded 6 properties for squad 1. May, June, that time. So I don't understand why the revenue would have dropped. This is a bit strange, okay? So worst performing months was in June and October, -6% and 8% respectively. And then best performing ones were actually April and November, at 37% and 31% respectively. So, okay. This bar column that you see is
it -6 or -4?
sorry, -4. Okay. So what you are seeing here is the performance, right? Month-on-month performance between the years. What?
Sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
Is that minus also in October? I think it's not minus.
Sorry, not minus, but it is the worst performing month.
Yeah, like
between
the lowest. Yeah.
Between the two, second lowest. Alvin typed something, I cannot see what was it. Oh,
I think we are breaking.
Oh,
Your mouse is still there.
ugh, Jesus Christ.
Ini yang ketuhan.
Okay.
No.
All right, where was I? Okay, so this is the overall performance month on month, right? What we are seeing also then is that because we know that every month we on market buildings will onboard new properties, so henceforth the growth will be different, correct? So actually supposed to see more. So what we need to factor in is that actually we need to factor in a property count. So what that means is that so earlier on I showed you this tracker, right? Every month how many offboard, how many I onboard. So in total, say for example, in this case in April, where we onboarded Puri Sabina, we offboarded Villa Bagus. That is considered as zero. That means no properties was lost, no properties was paid. Yeah, okay. Can. Alright. So that is how we do the calculation, right? So technically speaking, when you look at all these numbers 0, 0, minus 2, 0, 0, these are property counters. So across FY19, by right, when we onboarded 6 property here, performance should have gone up. I should be seeing at least maybe 30% increase, but then still we are not seeing performance go up. Okay, so
I think I see the pattern there. Like after after 2 months after we on -2 means we on off board 2, right? Like after 2 months we off board 2, we always we become like the lowest performing month. Like from March to June and then from July to October.
from March.
So
Oh,
March
oh.
we off boarded 2, right?
Oh.
And then in June it becomes like the lowest month.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if it's related, but like that's kind of like the pattern. And then like in October as well, from July we offboarded 2, and then October we also performed like
Like shit. Basically, you're talking about these two correlation, right? -4 and -2, 8 and -2, right? Right?
Yeah.
You're talking about these few numbers. Could be maybe a sign that already then at that point in time we will have very heavy hitters.
It could be
Drop.
like maybe like the booking window, let's say. So in June, because we don't have inventories for these two off-boarded properties, so that's why in June we lost like revenues for that. I'm not sure.
Could be.
Yeah, that's actually a good insight. So, in the logic of that, basically, at the first one, usually after the offboarding itself, we can still basically get the revenue from the property itself. We can basically still have a value on the property. But following that, after that few months, basically, we cannot sell the property anymore. We only get the scraps of the remaining booking that we have on that property. So the correlation is there, but we cannot really make sure of it. Well, still, that's good insight from you.
Okay.
Question. Do you remember what are those 6 new properties that we only recorded?
Mujimba, Cantik, Bogas, Pertama, Kal, and Ola. All heavy hitters. Okay lah, maybe except for Bodas. And maybe Mujimba is okay lah, but yeah.
There's also a possibility was basically when the property actually launched. Is it at the end of the month or at the mid of the month, which actually we also gonna sell it a little bit lower side. Let's say also for Mujiba, we also sell it for 1 room first. That's why actually it doesn't really have an impact at the June. But after the August, we actually get still a bit of a raise on it.
Where is the chart? Yes. A bit of that raise, 14 to 15. Also still within the lower tier though, actually.
Yeah, still.
So, yeah. So anyway, what I suspect is that I think we have to look at property loss, not so much property that is being acquired. So yeah, so Villa, the biggest heavy hitters are Ayunan and Kura Kura, Cahaya and Shiba, right? So July, November, so you need to look at June and October. So June and October. So yeah, likely the Bingin Villas lah. That's why the performance is so poor. Okay, all right. So can I move on? All right. So next up is actually year on year, but then we're looking at a slightly bigger picture now. We're looking at area growth and deficit. So I guess there's no surprise that Belangan actually reduced in revenue by 34%. That is 105,000 altogether. Bingin, although we lost two properties, we still grew by 77,000. Okay. Jimbaran 110,000, Punggasan 90, and then Nusa Dua 59,000. Okay, so in total, basically what we're trying to see here is also, I'm looking at based on the area now, right? So if there is a loss of, so Belangan in this case, it looks very normal. When we have a loss of property, we have a loss of revenue because there's also no new property, right? But what is interesting to see is places like Bingin. So with Bingin, basically we actually had a loss of two properties, yet we still made 7,000 more than last year. Mm. So this is important for us to know because very long for a while we've been saying that Benin has no food, but then there's something going on with Benin. So I think this is true. This is not really the case. I think Benin still has its weight in gold. It's still a property, it's still an area that I think we need to focus on. All right. And then also for quite a while, we've always been talking about Jimbaran not being a heavy hitter, but this could be mainly because of actually maybe Chantik. Yeah, it could be maybe because of Chantik. So with two properties, they actually grew 110,000. Okay, Unggasan had four new properties, but only had a 75% growth. And then Nusa Dua, obviously, with 60,000 is, we know lah, it's a lot. So basically, one lot, if we get another lot, basically, it's another 60,000 for us in a year. About that. Okay. Okay. Next on. So what I've done also is that we keep talking about properties, we keep talking about areas, right? But we also need to actually take a look at who exactly is doing well in the last FY. So I cannot do 12 months full FY because it's not fair. Um, Properties like Kau, Mujimba, Rumah Pertama, they only came on for a year. So to compare 12 months versus what they have performed, they will definitely look like they're not performing lah. So what I've done is that in terms of property ranking, I've started to take from July to December. So here are your top 10, which I was a bit shocked actually that Kembang Kuning is number one. Okay, lot 6, lot 5, no surprise. Dikutu is actually doing so. Even with Jonathan's issue, we're still doing very well. Dikutu is still ranked number 4, right? So this I think stresses on. I wish Dominic was here. This stresses on actually how much more we need to get Dikutu clean. Because the minute Dikutu is clean, this number can probably at least do. I'm guessing 2 folds. Okay.
Anyway, is this the
Yes.
total revenue or the gap? Yeah,
The profit.
July to December 2018 to 2019.
This is actually FY19 July to December's revenue for each property. 2019. I cannot take full year 2019 because Mujimba, all the new properties were onboarded halfway through the year. Okay, so La Jolla Bill continues to be top 10, even though we don't have visibility on the on the allocation and so on and so forth lah. So I think any questions? Hello. Anybody shocked to see just the kembang kuning, right? Just the kembang kuning, right? Just the kembang kuning.
Sounds like you don't really like it,
No, it's just a very low profile property. Alvin, are you shocked to see kembang kuning?
Not really, actually.
Okay, yeah.
Because we start to count it up from July and August, which means it's the really big asset from the lot. We have more than 10 rooms. Let's say with the calculation of, let's say, per night is 300 on July and August for 2 months, time it with 10 rooms, and time it with 30 days. I think it's gonna be more than a lot, to be honest. But it's also what actually I'm surprising is, even though we also get a walk-in guest, we can actually still fulfill the revenue itself to be top for us. So another question is, just like what you said, what if there's no walk-in gas and we are fully manage the kembang kuning, and we can maximum the process of the reservation itself. It means we can actually gain around more 30% or 40% more than the current one.
Yeah. If Kembang Kuning's current occupancy is about 30% for walk-ins, then yeah, we have inventory to sell then. Okay.
Remember you told me that that's like politics is doing that even it, at that moment I got really surprised because I know it's the review talking. It's the review section. But Express is probably just one fact doing better than much. Considering it.
Yeah. But that conversation that I was having with that conversation I had with you, right, was with regards to that, was with regards to design. The fact that lot 5 apparently, which is a much more Instagrammable property, should be doing more than what lot 6 should be doing. But this is this doesn't seem to be the case.
But in this period of time, those six also have the amount of briefings that is more what I can. So
Yes.
close to December, I remember back then. You remember there's a content actually to remove the double listings?
Yeah.
Yeah, you helped me on that.
Double
So-
listing, yes.
Some of our listings apparently have like a twin, so like double finger. I mean, like
Yeah,
for
double
one
ganger,
unit,
yeah.
you have multiple listing, multiple. I don't know what this revenue is produced by those old double ganger or like still solely just by one.
Should be multiple listings.
And lot 5 never had that issue because it's a new property, right? We never created any double gang.
So doppelgangers are not good strategies.
We figured that way. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And also the listing is like fighting each other for reviews and for bookings.
Okay, so but essentially this property ranking is to let us all know, to create some awareness around which properties are doing the best and which property we probably need to focus on actually. Yeah, which properties do we need to focus on? So some of them are, I guess, Kembang Kuning that we always never ever mention, like, like at all. La Joya View. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, BSL. I think BSL is
So
already.
Reza, for example, is
Mana?
worst five.
Where?
Worst
five.
Yes, buat Puri Sabina and Puri Sabina Villa.
So
Akile is the one that we discussed on the paper for so long.
I will show your Achilles numbers. Okay, anyway, let's go now. All right, moving on. So, yeah, right? Okay, let's start off with Pingin first. So essentially, according to the highest rank on the left, which is Kambang Kuning. What we see in the column is the revenue for FY 18 versus 19. So what that means is this is the difference, yeah. The growth, yeah, the growth. So bringing every property with money except guess who? Yeah. Converse made a deficit of 8%. How? And I don't know why. Why? Issues, yeah.
Tapi ini juga nggak sih renovation downtime for installing
Okay.
The 18, the 18 is still each year.
Oh yeah,
And, then
till now.
and now we have like construction right in front.
Oh yeah.
It will affect that.
Oh,
Probably.
Is that the one that complaining yesterday about the view?
Okay, so moving on, like
Okay. So I guess So I guess we know tortoise is a bit of issue. So I guess that is no surprise already. Japan also did actually. Japan together with Charita Inda did lesser than last year also. Okay. So in terms of that is year on year revenue growth. But in terms of percentage growth, so which one grew the fastest? actually Sinasari, Shankara, Kedara Street, Kembang Kuning, all are your top 5 performers actually compared to in terms of percentage lah. If you don't look at finite number, but you look at the speed of growth, these are the properties actually that also I think we need to look. We need to also focus on since they are growing fast. Okay, moving on. Any questions?
So this is include villa, guest house, and boutique.
All of the Okay, I didn't include the new property. I didn't include the new properties because I'm just looking at the bulk of it, which is the old property. Alright. So let's look at Nusa Dua. So lot 6 is growing exponentially as compared to lot 3. So I have no idea what happened to lot 3, but I to focus on lot 3. Since we are all here, anyone knows what is going on with lot 3? Why did we lose $1,000 from last year? Because of
I think
nice lady, what's her name?
one of it is if it's only $1,000 difference because the owner also blocked the calendar on few peak nights, not really not really like a month or something, but few days. Basically, also gonna affect because once again it's only 1,000, right? But if the difference is around 5,000, then there's something wrong.
But Alvin, these two are the same properties, yeah?
Yes.
One property can make 8,000, the other property make a deficit of 1,000. I think the loss is quite big actually. So
Yes, that's why.
it's almost 10.
I can't really say much on it, but when actually I'm starting to handle the lottery since November, end of November, one thing that I noticed only regarding the block of the owner itself. Lot 6 never really blocked the calendar.
Okay.
Oh, second, also, lot 6 doesn't really have 2 nights minimum stay, which means that we can actually sell the get night.
One more time.
Lot 6 does, if I remember correctly, from the last discussion, lot 6 doesn't apply a 2 night minimum stay,
Nah,
which means we can sell the get night still.
I think that's the problem with lot 3.
Not only lot 3 and lot 5 that actually have 2 night minimum stay, if I remember correctly. But yeah, let me double check on it. But I think I'm pretty much sure that actually that's one of the reasons also.
Okay. So yeah, I mean properties are doing well, so no reason to see a deficit. There must be something wrong with the way we are managing the property. So just see if you can help to work on lot 3 lah.
Does it mean if like one property like lot 3, for example, like minimum stay 2 days, 2 nights, and then for 1 night you cannot sell that?
It goes empty. So
No, I mean like not talking about let's say like the booking window or something, but it's just like because we do that minimum 2 nights, meaning that we cannot sell the 1 night gap. Yeah, technically speaking.
Airbnb will not allow you to pick it on the calendar.
Misalkan klik tanggal 20, the next clickable date is 22.
Clickable date.
Or 21.
So maybe that's also.
So this owner strategy of minimum 2 night never works. We know we've already. I don't know who has access to Claire, but maybe we need to show her this piece of information. Maybe we can do it. I don't know. Claire seems like the exclusive.
Claire is, but it's much harder. It's much harder, just like bully.
Oh dear.
Why not?
I think it's okay
She's still
though.
reasonable.
I think she's reasonable.
She's reasonable to talk to.
Bully?
But who holds the relationship?
Oh,
Yeah.
thing.
I just rather not bother to coach.
I can still help to ask if it's lot 6 with Pak Chris, but for Claire, never actually.
Do that.
But this is a problem lah that for
Yeah, it's a problem.
solve. Yeah. So somewhere or other we need to figure out like what is the problem with this, because clearly year on year same property it is growing well except lot 3. So deficit is scary. If they maintain is okay or make a small growth is okay, but deficit is scary. Okay. All right, let's move on next. What's this? Unggasan. Okay, so Unggasan, we have Dikutu, we have Dina Hills and Aquilia. I think moving forward, let's all stop talking about Aquilia because Aquilia is not making money. In fact, it has done 70%. In the last 6 months, it has performed 70% worse than the last 6 months of FY18. And in terms of growth annually, it has run a deficit of 38%. Okay. And we made $8,000 less than FY18. Dina Hill seems to be doing as per usual. I think this is like business as usual. We don't really have to do very much for Dina Hills, right? Actually, also. Yeah. Okay. So, but the kutu is something that we really need to fix. And yeah, but I think we're already on it. So I think this is an indication to say that we are picking the right properties to focus on. Apa? Okay. Next one, Jimbara. Kanha and Arindra are the only two properties that we have run for 2 years in a row. I think both are doing okay. Why? Okay, what?
No.
Not good? Okay. So as you can see, every property here, there is a bit of a deficit except for Jimbaran and where is that? Bingin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay lah, but yes. Okay. So,
Oh, sorry. 18 to 19.
I don't want to cover Belangan because Belangan is all red.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think all red. Everything is a negative, everything is a deficit, everything is
Just going down.
just
Even let's say for Idaman, Begalan, it doesn't really change too much.
Going downhill.
going downhill. Yeah. Okay, so that covers it for the area growth. Okay, moving on down, growth planning. So this is basically all of the properties you have in spot 1, but then divided by property type. Property type. So obviously you will see these numbers being very high because we have a lot of these units, right? But what we're looking for is we're looking for at per unit actually how lucrative or how profitable is a villa. So these are vanity metrics and you're looking at the wrong numbers, right? So what you look at is actually these numbers here. So on average, a luxury villa still makes more money than a guest house makes more money than a villa. So, and a resort still does more than a guest house. Obviously, what the numbers here show is that there's two things, right? One, luxury properties still make more money for us. Number two, volume properties still make more money for us than villas. So today I'm sending Trishna out to go look for one guest house.
Nami,
Yes.
remind me one again. This is annual, right? For starting from January until December.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
First 20.
Supposedly the BNB, if I'm correct. Cantik is a resort or BNB?
Yes, Chantik is a B&B.
Cantik is BNB, right? Because Cantik is only start at the mid of the year itself. The numbers could be a little bit of difference.
Yeah, 1%. Huh? Sorry, Evan, what do you say? I cannot hear you. Sorry.
Sorry. Cantik is the one that actually also producing a lot of revenue from the past 6 months.
Yeah.
But because we actually count it up starting from January,
Yes.
the number could be also a little bit different after on 2020 itself. Just to make sure, just to give a little bit of insight for everyone also. But still,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, in the end,
I
it's
think,
also good insight.
but I think Chantik is a outlier. It's an anomaly, really. I don't think we're going to have a lot of Chantiks, to be very honest. So some of the other B&Bs, so let's look at the data, yeah? I think that to answer your next question. Where is it? Okay, so in terms of B&Bs, Mujimba, Didi, Chantik, Puri, Sabina are considered B&Bs. Right? Will you all say I classified this correctly? I don't know, her face is like in disgust or something. Resort, I would consider the Kutu, LJY, and Bubu, Alchemist, and La Caban as resorts.
Services.
Extra
Hotel-like
service, big land, multiple units. Complex lah.
Then what's the difference between B&B and this houses?
It is more, it's more expensive generally.
Yeah, basically more expensive guest house. We try to actually, just to make it clear for everyone, actually, previously we also kind of discussing that we actually want to put it as guest house or anything else, but the let's say we call it the standard or the level is kind of different. We cannot compare Sinarsari with Puri Sabina, or we can compare Sinarsari with let's say Cantik in that particular sense. I think would be much different. Also, the idea on it is the plus point or the value itself, the plus value that we can sell on the Airbnb itself. Mujimba did this, Cantik, we can actually sell it on the Airbnb because it actually have a more plus value on it. That's the idea. But we're always open to discussion.
Yes, open for discussion.
Like, I don't understand why then based on the guys' definition, I don't understand why then Arindra fell into guest houses, meanwhile Kristalina fell into
Arindra is not the same as Sabina, right?
for each room they have a fully equipped kitchen.
So you're saying Arindra should actually be a B&B?
Based on your
I think I have to agree if Arindra facilities wise is different.
No, but based on if based on like Alvin definition is based on the like, pricing value, right? So are you pricing Arindra just like a their own
That part I'm not sure. I have to ask Alvin.
I cannot really say that the category when we make the category or I make the category itself is because only the
beneran cok.
hello
Nah,
tes.
masuk.
No, I mean, okay. Let me repeat again. So basically, when I make this category, also when I decide which part actually guest house, which part actually BNB, it's not only regarding the price itself. If we talk about the price itself, Arinda sold pretty low, to be honest. Uh, it's only around 300 to 360. At most, it's only 400. But actually, I pretty much agree that Arenda can also put on the BNB regarding the facilities because they actually get their own kitchen. But just to make it clear, it's not only about the rating or the rates, sorry, not about the price when we make this definition. This is only internally used, basically. Also for the idea that later MB can also, let's say, differentiate between which property that they can focus on. So let's continue discuss what else.
This is not this repeated slide.
Sorry, that took a long time to process things.
I think we're all used to it now.
So what was that supposed to be? If we can agree that it's actually giving a value of like the and guest houses, are we then pricing too low? So the fact that we're doing for Arindra we're performing well, so maybe it's a cue to like finally raise up the price.
I think Jimbaran actually is gaining some slow heat in FY19 because basically I'm saying that there is no drop there is all increase in terms of all the Jimbaran properties from FY18 to FY19. Yeah, on the property level. So I think next year for FY20, I think that we should have a bit more confidence in boosting the pricing for Jimbaran. That's what I'm seeing. Yeah. That is what I'm seeing. Okay. In fact, I think everywhere, even in Nusa Dua, minus that lot 3 property, can probably. I'm not sure Unggasan because Unggasan's properties are not clean at all. So it's a bit hard to say. But I think Jimbaran definitely can raise prices next year.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically what we are going to so anyway, that is the very last slide. Okay. Everybody what I will do, I think everybody has access to this Excel sheet already. So what I'll do is I'll just put it in the squad paper as well. Have a look and then see if that can what I'm hoping is that through the year this can also help us as a squad make better decisions when we're deciding whether we should do a certain action or a certain project or a certain plan. So if there is no more further questions, then next step what will happen is that Alvin and I will get together again, and then we'll come up with the strategy for next year. So an example of which focus would be, say for example, Jimbaran. Belangan, we will probably like just drop it altogether, or maybe is there a new plan to create a new Belangan, so a new area to replace Belangan's loss of revenue. Okay.
I have one
Yes.
question regarding. So I read on like the paper right before, and then like even like B&B in Bingin is still making more than the guest house in Jimbaran, if I'm not mistaken. On the paper.
Mm-hmm.
So does it mean also like we are going to focus on more into like like the areas instead of just like the property types?
I think we need to be a bit smart about this. So we need to look at area to see whether is the area dying or is it actually gaining more heat. And then within each area, also look at, say for example, look at the property types as well. So now we know that the focus should actually be on big volume guest houses and also luxury villas. That is something that. So I guess in some ways you can say the strategy is similar to Squad 2 because they all go by big volume guest house, right? But the one thing Squad 2 doesn't have that we have is luxury villas in the Bukit Peninsula.
So a bit another track.
Ocean view properties, lot 5, lot 6, that kind.
But they
I
also
think I
say,
think that's not if you met, actually. Yeah. Yes, but ocean view.
What?
Yeah.
No, I mean like Squatu also have ocean view, but like guest house, right? The Jalan here.
Oh, Uluwatu side. Yeah, Uluwatu side, yeah. But Uluwatu is a very dry area though. That's one thing I've realized.
Yeah,
Uluwatu is a very, very dry
Like-
area.
figuratively or literally?
Figuratively and also very and business wise it's hard to buy land in the area from what I understand. Yeah. So to answer your question, it will be both. You'll have to look at both areas and also at the same time property types. Yeah. To focus on. But likely probably if I see another Mujimba, I'm not going to put that as my priority.
Do we also have the average growth of each area based on total number of properties and the growth, the revenue?
So that would be you're looking at average growth, right? Okay, so I would say it's a bit hard to do average growth because every month there will be new properties onboarded and offboarded, so it's a bit hard to do an average. But if you want to say average, then I would say average between
Between
average in.
So I mean like let's say right when we're talking about revenue growth just let's say like in Padua we only have 2 properties but we have more revenues,
Revenue,
right?
yes.
So meaning that these properties actually bringing in more than just like say properties that have more area that has more that have more properties but like or maybe more revenue, but it turns out that this areas has more revenue because lots property.
So you're trying to
It's kind of like the contribution of each, or maybe it's covered on the type already.
I think that number that you requested is not exist right now because one thing that I realized from this thing that we're doing right now, I think property counts doesn't mean anything. It's not. It's if like it's not about the cash house, right? And revenue, usually revenue is like a vanity.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think area is a bit hard to see. Like for example, I think it's hard to. So your question, Vida, what you're trying to figure out is actually is there a specific area that is seeing a high growth rate, right? So
Or like giving revenues. I mean, it's actually like obvious Nusa Dua, right? Like with the luxury villa, luxury properties, it brings in. I mean, like lesser effort for us.
Yes,
but, like,
lesser
it brings
effort for
in
all of
more,
us.
more revenue, something like that.
Yes.
or let's say if we're talking about being right, being giving lots of revenue, but like, do we also compare it, for example, with other area that only has maybe like
like say 2 properties, right?
yeah, or maybe this area has more property but lesser income.
Okay. So with regards to that, what you're saying now is a question of then I think it's more related to I guess HR and the way we manage the property, which is becoming a more profitable property. It's no longer about revenue. Your question is about profitability, right? Less hours spent on an area that basically makes us more money, more bang for our buck, right?
Like ROI.
No, return on investment. I don't think that I have calculated that number yet, but we can definitely calculate it and put it in
You
and
can get it. Basically, we just need to categorize between the type of the property itself and also per area, and just divide it between how many property they have. And after that, we actually get the average of the value of one property, and also we can only kind of like compare it with the last years. Now that we actually get the FY18 and FY19 in average, let's say guest house in Bingin versus guest house in Balangan, per property actually how much they can get.
I think this requires one more level, which is do hosts check guests in or not?
Sorry?
Do hosts check guests in very often in these properties?
Uh,
Like La Jolla, you all never check any guests in, right? La Jolla? Yeah, but La Jolla View is number 4, in terms of revenue production.
yeah, that's about the efficiency, right? That's good.
So actually, La Jolla View is a good property to continue keeping, and I don't know whether sometimes I do want that's why I did a graph for Pelangan, right? But then I tell you, it's so hard to understand. I myself don't understand.
If we're talking about effort, is also like, like Alvin doesn't need to do the protection or the report for this property.
No. Yes, it's true. Yeah. So, my question only for La Jolla ever is that with LJY, yeah, with LJY, it's just a
What is
question of
LY?
last year. So with LJY, my question always is actually, did we lose revenue when we created the listing audit or not?
The instant book,
Yeah,
when we actually change it to be only focused on the instant book itself.
TV listings, right? We cleaned it up. We did an audit for LJY. So,
Sorry, it's kind of breaking. What's the question?
my question is that although there is a loss although we are not doing better than, although FY19 LJY's numbers are not better than FY18, correct? It is still the 4th biggest revenue producing property in squad 1. My question is, I don't know whether what we did for listing audit for LJY had any negative impact on the revenue for LJY FY19.
Yes, it's actually impact on the last year. After we do the instant book and only focus on that with the one in Tokit, in total of revenue, basically it's going down, it's reducing. But if we also talk about the in the future, how to maintain it and the sustainability, I think it will be better right now.
Okay, Ken. So anyway, the whole idea is just to surface. It's just to do a review of what we've done and how we've been performing, and also to ask ourselves new questions lah, in order for us to better plan for next FY20. So to be very honest, I struggle with one thing. The one thing is that aside from using the data to aside from using the data to come up with the strategy, I was just wondering whether how is how do I put this? How do I sentence my structure my sentence in this sentence my structure? Okay, so basically what I'm trying to say is that I think FY20 the idea is to do more forward planning, right? The idea when it comes to planning, it requires decision making, and obviously none of us want to make decisions based on a hunch, right? Or based on, like, say for example, today I wake up, I feel like I want to charge this property at this price, right? So I believe this sheet of data would be able to. I'm hoping can help you guys with your decisions also. Like, say for example with Pak Hari, easily FY18 to FY19, go and look at all the numbers, send it to Pak Hari and ask Pak Hari, which part of this are we not doing better? So so content can also know that actually all your booking.com listings will be taken off compared to Airbnb is actually a successful plan. So moving forward and today now, what other properties have booking.com? Strike it off. Okay, so you got cloud beds. Cloud beds is coming in again. Okay.
So if they already have cloud beds, then we can just
Switch off.
deactivate all of the
Oh, I
and
see.
we have multiple inventory.
Yeah.
But it would be a pain in the ass.
Okay. Maybe staff is
I started with this.
okay.
Because they have more beds.
Of course, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. So.
For squad one, the location change, totally worth it. See, if I change this squad to Baran, then see
The heat is coming,
the
right?
heat is coming to Baran,
The
right?
heat
But
is
even
coming.
in Nasan, so me and Alpha already discussed that we're trying to make Nasan as Baran to pay someone to like actually see Nasan.
The other thing that I'm actually thinking about is when as a squad when we do all these activities and our new paper, old paper, right, everything gets raised there. Everything so basically like we can the numbers but we cannot track the activities. Yeah. So like say for example now you do location change, right? You update it in the squad one paper, right? After it is done, it's being erased. You don't know when, you cannot backtrack. Like LJY, when did we do this? Nobody can tell. So you're just looking at numbers, but bless you.
Uncle, bless you.
Yeah, most welcome. Okay, so I'm thinking also at the same time we need to document our activities. Big ones are not every activity we write down lah, but
Well, me personally, I checked that every single activity, but I agree that it's important for squad as well.
Okay, but I think that will happen in the FY20 plan. We can just plan and map it out there. Okay, so anybody have any other questions? If not, I'm going to this paper can be found on squad paper. And you guys can take a look at what is going on. No questions? All right. Then thank you very much. Okay, end of session. Elvin? Oh. Can you see me there?
Yeah, we're cold, man.
Yeah.
Oh. Is it too late to say sorry?
Smoke.
Basta, ini tok. Terima kasih Alvin dan Nungli.
Ya, kita freezing.
Terima kasih. Nih, ada di balas kayak.
Let's go and smoke. Let's go and smoke.
Terima kasih Alvin dan Nungli.
Terima kasih Alvin dan Nungli.
You're most welcome.
SQL and CC. No, SL and CC. Squad lead and co-chair.
Credit card.
But I still cannot figure out this part though.
The June part?
No, I cannot figure out this part. Like, say for example, like Belangan, right? Of course, man on man is just like, like shit lah, basically. Okay? But then, you see, like say Bingin, right? I expected, right, all the beige boxes to be on this side. But it's an even spread. So beige ones are basically the top 3 months of that entire area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yellow is obviously the worst. Yeah. But there's no trend. It's like just all over the place. But I expected to see like this way, but no, it didn't.
Really, the months become less predictable as well.
Yeah. Anyway, smoke.
Can I ask for small?
Yes. Come, let's go. Oh, I forgot to stop recording.